What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today when I talk to you on Virgin Galactic, they recently did announce the date of their upcoming earnings. So I wanted to give you a good overview of some expectations of that and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So when it comes to it, they did announce it on the 13th. So my apologies on the delay of this video, but they did announce the date of their earnings for February the 27th, 2024, 2 p.m. Pacific or 5 p.m. Eastern. If you are interested in me live streaming this, let me know in the comments below. I can definitely put that together. But when it comes to their upcoming earnings, there's a lot of different expectations, and I feel like a lot of people are cautiously optimistic, and that's more so piggybacking off of the Q3. But when it comes down to some expectations, there isn't really much expectations for earnings per share. So right now there's 8 analysts with consensus of negative 30 cents. So I feel like a lot of people aren't necessarily going to be looking at the earnings per share. It is going to be more so the cash that they do have on hand, their future guidance for operations, which so far they've been very much on point and very good at it, in fact. And then aside from that, just revenue growth. So obviously that's going to dictate most likely whether it's a success or fail. Looking right now, as far as a consensus on revenue, there's about 7 analysts with a consensus of 2.99 million. And that's kind of matching with what happened in Q3, where they did cite, or I guess estimate, around 3 million. So once again, similar to the Q3 earnings, if they do give a very positive surprise, then the stock price will go up dramatically, similar to what happened in Q3 when they did have a very surprising positive revenue growth. Because as you can kind of see, it does look like they did beat it. So they had revenue of 1.7 compared to 0.8. So that's definitely very positive. And plus that did come out of left field. So looking at their, for instance, growth, it has been very significant. So that's something to kind of watch for. Aside from that, cash. So you'll want to watch how much cash they do have. So roughly they had just shy of about $1 billion at the end of Q3. So once again, you kind of want to watch that because on operations, they're burning roughly about 484 million every single quarter. So they have roughly sufficient amount of cash up until the tail end of Q2 or possibly early Q3. So they are going to need to dilute prior to that. So that's also something to watch for this upcoming earnings, is their outstanding shares, to see on what level and what degree were they diluting within Q4. So they technically do have the S3 as well, so they don't need to let anyone know the fact that they're diluting. It's just during earnings or other SEC documents. So as of right now, it does indicate around 399.72 million for the outstanding shares, and then 366.41 million for the free float. So once again, that's something to kind of consider. And just looking right now as well, from their last earnings, they had about 491.7 million in debt. So overall, just I feel like oddly enough, I'm very cautiously optimistic, and I don't know if that's more so piggybacking off of Q3 or not, but their stock price has been lagging. So I do feel that big money isn't necessarily buying into Virgin as much as they probably should be, because Virgin hasn't really been participating with the broader market's momentum up higher. It's been very lackluster. So I think a lot of people are just waiting for their upcoming earnings just to see what future guidance is given, what their balance sheet looks like, just to justify whether it does go up higher or whether it just kind of stays stagnant. Of course, this upcoming week, we do have the FOMC meeting minutes coming out on Wednesday, as well as NVIDIA earnings. So that could give it a nice boost up higher, because going into this week, Virgin Galactic's technicals do look very good. So quickly going over to Interactive Brokers. Also on a side note, if you're looking for a lot of good compiled information, take a look at Interactive Brokers for all this to be completely free. But the Elliott Wave technicals do have a pivot point of $1.66. So for as long as Virgin is above that, then it is anticipated to get between the 232 and 245 in the short term. So potentially NVIDIA earnings giving good future guidance, or the FOMC meeting minutes could really push it higher. I'm going to do a little bit more of a deeper dive on the technicals in a second. But for instance, if there is negative data coming out, anticipate shorts to jump all over it. So right now, going into this upcoming week, short score or short interest is roughly 21.47%, and that works out to be 78.66 million shares are being shorted. Just to get this unnecessary crap off, you have seen randomly shorts starting to naturally pull out of Virgin, because short interest was roughly about 24%, and now it is at that 20 21.4. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with expectations for this upcoming earnings, more of a positive surprise, because what did happen during the Q3 that came out of left field. Not only did they raise future guidance for Q4, but they had surprise earnings, or revenue, I mean. So overall, I feel like that's what shorts are anticipating, and that's what generally the market is anticipating. Analysts haven't really done all that much. So the last analyst rating to come out was roughly about 14 days ago, and that was a $2.50 buy by TD Cowen Oliver, who has a 52% success rating. So analysts probably as well are waiting on the sidelines for this upcoming earnings, and if positive, they are going to rush with probably $5 price targets. My own opinion, of course, based on that. So let me know your thoughts on Virgin in the comments below. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing? Based on options, of course, the market isn't open today. It's a holiday, so hopefully everyone has had a good long weekend. But $63,000 in calls being purchased from Friday and $13,000 in puts. Sentiment-wise, 56% of all the options being done on Friday were optimistic and bullish, which does signal that people are anticipating for the stock price to appreciate. And so again, I think that has to do with the technicals, just them not really participating in the broader market's rally. Looking right here though at some support and resistance points, with it at $1.85, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So $1.72 is going to be the next strong support versus $2.02 is going to be the next strong resistance. So it's probably just going to be range bound between this points. On Friday, it didn't even touch either of them, so that's something to consider. And aside from all of that, the fib levels are very wide, so you just have to anticipate a lot of volatility in the short term. But looking on the technicals though, it is in the higher percentile of the Bollinger Band. It recently did bounce off of that 100-day moving average twice, so right now it is just in consolidation mode. And the next attempt at the breakout, if it does fail, then you are going to see stochastic being very much overbought, and so even further of a pullback and consolidation will occur. So a lot of volatility this upcoming week, and most likely as a result of their upcoming earnings as well. So something to consider. Virgin definitely is not for the faint of heart. A lot of volatility, especially over the last little bit. So even looking right here over the last 1 year, down 69.06%. So it's not for the faint of heart. Definitely do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But everything is kind of looking primed and ready for a breakout. So if everything, all the ducks line up in a row, or whatever that saying is, if everything works out for data this week and their earnings, then you definitely will see higher highs in the short term. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this while you can. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.